Hello everyone, this is Blue. Tomorrow, Wednesday, May 14th, registration opens for Supernova, formerly known as Super Smash Con. If you've seen any of the early advertisement from the top players or the streamer Ludwig, who's kind of taken the reins on this operation, you know that they want it to be both the largest Smash Bros. Melee tournament ever and the largest Smash Bros. Ultimate tournament ever, and by wide margins on both of those, okay? He wants there to be more than 2,500 Melee entrants when they've only ever had one tournament that's been above 1,750, I think, and they want more than 4,000 Ultimate players when their biggest up until this point was 3,500, and I think they've only had one other tournament that was above 3,000 entrants. The reason I'm making this video, and why I'm going to be doing a little ad campaign over the next few weeks while registration is open, is because it's also possible for this to be the biggest tournament ever for two other Smash games, the original N64 game and Brawl. Now, let's start with one obvious point. There's a lot of tribalism in the Smash Bros. Community in comment sections, Twitch, YouTube, other social medias. I want to tell you that that's not analogous to reality. Maybe I'm just lucky and almost everybody in the central Pennsylvania or eastern Pennsylvania scenes is just really chill about the whole situation, but I don't see a whole lot of tribalism about which Smash game is better. Yes, people prefer one over the other, but usually when Smash Ultimate locals near me host a side bracket for Melee, for example, they will get a good number of turnout from people who usually focus on Ultimate, but they just want to experiment with Melee even if they're not as good with it. And a lot of the people who do specialize in Melee in these regions will still come to and try to support some of the larger Ultimate events going on because they know it's important to the overall community. Now, these are in the larger cities near me where they get active players. If you wanted to play a different Smash game, well, once in a while they might have a Smash 4 locals because a lot of the college-age students who are currently active in the Ultimate scene, their first game was Smash 4, so they probably still own the consoles. It's easier for them. But let's say you wanted to go to a Smash 64 locals. The number of Smash 64 locals I've seen advertised in Pennsylvania within the past 3 years that were not in the Philadelphia or Pittsburgh area, I can count on one hand. And if you don't live near those areas, there's not really much of anything you can do. If you live in a rural area, like I did most of my life, you probably did not have access to video game tournaments at all. And that's a large part of the reason why I want to do this. See, when I was growing up, I played a lot of Melee and Brawl, namely with my older brothers. But we never had video game tournaments out here. We barely ever had trading card tournaments. And even now, these happen very infrequently. My entire county is lucky to get game tournaments or card game tournaments like 2 or 3 times a year. And that's kind of pathetic, to be honest with you. So what I want to do is I want to see if people who didn't get a chance to see these games during their time in the sun, if they can go to an event and maybe if there is a resparked interest, maybe that does help the community see that they should give them more of a chance, and it might involve an increase in locals or an increase in hangouts or just anything that gets people to enjoy these games for what they are. Now, if you don't like one of these games in particular, that's fine. There's really nothing I or anyone else can do to convince you otherwise. You're not objectively wrong. A lot of people did try to give Brawl a fair chance when it was released. They just didn't enjoy it as much, or the fact that they couldn't adequately stream it when MLG wanted to do their sponsorship, that's a whole nother issue altogether. That definitely left a sour taste in everyone's mouth. But I don't like this narrative that Brawl almost caused Melee to also die as a game. I don't like this narrative that for one Smash game to succeed, the other ones have to fail, or that they're parasocial and they will cause each other to fail. Nothing could be further from the truth, okay? You'll notice the only game that was not in contention for having its biggest tournament ever was Smash 4. Smash 4 at this point only averages like 300 people at a major that has a bracket for it. Its peak tournament was EVO 2016. You know what else happened in EVO 2016? Super Smash Bros. Melee had its biggest tournament ever, by a wide margin. So Smash 4 and Smash Melee both had their biggest tournament at the same time. Except that's not even the end of it, because EVO 2015 for both games was their second biggest tournament of all time. Oh, and Smash Bros. Brawl, its largest tournament ever was Apex 2012, where it had exactly 400 entrants. That was also the biggest Smash Melee tournament at its time. It got surpassed pretty easily after that point, but at the time, in the context of the beginning of 2012, it was the biggest tournament ever for both of those games. The truth is, the Smash Bros. Community works best when everybody works together and they separate the tribalism. And that's what I'm trying to do. Ludwig has his dream. He wants to make this the biggest tournament for those two games. So I'm going to register for all four of these games. I could probably register for Rivals as well, but because he wants to make Rivals of Aether 2 have its biggest tournament, I'm not going to lie to you, I am trash at Rivals 2, and I do not think I would be able to contribute adequately to that bracket. But that all being said, I really want to see this happen. So, Smash 64 needs to pass, I believe, 320 entrants in order to have its biggest event, and Smash Bros. Brawl needs to pass 400, okay? According to the charts I saw, Apex 2012 was exactly 400 Brawl entrants, so if it clears that, then we're good to go. And if we don't have that exact number, like if we fall short of that goal, okay, we fell short, but I just want to see these games get some kind of attention, because a lot of people never got a fair chance to see these games in like a pushed competitive environment. And I want to see it happen. I know a lot of other people want the same. You may think it's a waste of time because people figured out these games a long while ago. Well, people used to say the same thing about Melee. People used to say that Melee Fox was this unstoppable top-tier monster. And what happened? Not only could Hungrybox beat a lot of Fox players with Jigglypuff, a character that's supposed to hard lose to Fox, but we've had Pikachus, Yoshis, Donkey Kongs, and even Roy players make upsets on top-level players who use Fox constantly. No, it's not impossible to push a game's meta. It's not impossible to figure out something that we didn't figure out years ago or decades ago even. I won't lie, I just want to see it happen because I have a soft spot for Melee and Brawl. I grew up with them. I grew up with all the Smash games really, but those two especially, the memories I had and what the Smash scene means to me, connecting me to people around me who also love these games. I just want to see them succeed, and come on, how sick would it be to say that we actually got the biggest tournament ever for 4 of the 5 Smash games at the same time? That could never happen again. I want to make it happen. So, when Supernova registration opens, if you don't want to register because you don't enjoy the games or you want to focus on another one that you feel like you can get really far ahead, hey, I can't tell you what to do. But if you just want to go there, mess around, and have a great time, I strongly urge you to consider that you at least try the other games. Because you never know, you might enjoy them more than you think. Thank you.